Sakazuki versus Draco is one of, if not the most controversial debates to ever take place within the community. So today we will be analyzing evil on whether or not Sakazuki actually did beat Draco in this debate, right? And if he did beat Draco, obviously he gets him nowhere in my opinion because I think Draco's really bad, right? However, if he lost to Draco, which is something that I actually most of my friends think, then obviously now I have to deal with the big Sakazuki, right? In terms of contending with, what's it called, or trying to argue with them about whether or not he beat Draco. So, of course, I have the notepad out, and I also have, the video being recorded, trivially. So, yeah, man, let's get into it. Yeah, it's a bit awkward when I press the play button and then it just doesn't play.
And that really doesn't amount to evidence in this case.
So you're saying, okay, so can you give me an example of the usage of quotation marks where there's just no distinction for it? So you're just basically
name
saying,
one time in any conventional.
That's already a burden shift. Okay, look, and let's just I don't know how to explain this, right? So let's just actually go through this slowly. So basically, right, I assume the argument that's being had is whether or not the strongest, the title of strongest Marines is put in quotation marks or not. And this is what I've been told. So they're basically saying that whenever it's put in quotation marks, it's simply referring to the title Admiral. But whenever it's put without quotation marks, that's a relevant distinction. And they give them the title, or specifically the is referring to combative strength. And what Sakazuki is trying to say here is that there's a relevant distinction between Sakazuki is trying to say there's a relevant distinction between the regular statements and these statements because one of them has quotation marks, the other one does not have quotation marks, right? So if one of them has quotation marks and the other one doesn't have quotation marks, then there's good reason to believe that there's an entirely different referent whenever they use the term. So now Draco is asking in response, name one time where let me see
where there's just no distinction for it. So you're just basically
name
saying,
one time in any conventional conversation.
That's just a flip of
yeah. Like he's already just flipping the burden, or at least he got cut off, but he's trying to flip the burden, right? It's obvious that he needs to prove the claim. So yeah.
Burden, that's, okay, that's, hold up, no, okay, that's a flip of burden. That's just a complete flip. Okay, wait, that's a flip of burden.
That is not flipping the burden.
You just
that is literally just demonstrating that these are not.
So Draco, I said okay. There's these linguistic distinctions within this. You're like, no, quotations can be used.
Yeah, I think that's
different. No, let me finish. Wait, let me finish, Draco. Right? You are saying that no, these quotations can be used differently, right? They don't need to be used to make some type of distinction. And no,
I'm not just saying they can be used differently or they don't need to be used. I'm literally just saying that they do not need to be used. There is no necessity to use them in the first.
Wait, okay. Draco is trying to argue here specifically that whether or not they are present or they are not present is entirely irrelevant to what they are referring to, right? And Sakazuki is simply saying that there is a relevant distinction, or there is a distinction between the two, right? So right now, it's obviously Draco's burden specifically to justify whether or not specifically the claim about it does not need to be used to signify a relevant distinction, or it being present does not indicate a relevant linguistic distinction. He needs to justify that. And if he does not justify that, then trivially he'll just loses.
So them being here and
there. Okay, then what's the argument? Okay, then what's the argument there? Because
you pointing to the location of quotation marks is not an argument. That is what I'm saying here.
How is it not an argument?
That is on you to justify.
What?
I just gave a complete justification for it. And I'll just do it again.
Okay. You literally just said there are quotes.
Okay, I'll repeat my justification. If you still disagree with it, then we can just move on. I'll give my justification. Okay, Draco, I'll give my justification again. If you disagree, if you think it's still not justification, we can just stop talking about it. All right? Okay.
So I can bet C's whole life they won't stop talking about it.
So if we have the same phrase where quotations are used and quotations are not used, correct? And I'm telling you that within literature and within language, quotations are most commonly used to quote something or refer to something. and then I present to you multiple scans.
I mean, that's true, but you can obviously use them in other ways too. Like you can use quotations. Say, for example, if I say, "Oh, he's quote unquote the best debater," like I'm using that. I'm trying to refer to what somebody else says. I'm just like trying to stress that this obviously isn't true, right? That's why I say quote unquote. Come on, but yeah,
in which, for example, Fujitora's V record, where it's very evidently the phrase is used in reference to the position, right? So he got promoted to this position. And it's in those quotations. And then I give two more examples of that. And I'm saying, okay, with these quotations that within literature commonly refer to something or quote something, it is referring to the reputation of admiral, which makes sense within the context of, like I said, the Fujitora Viva card and the other two scans.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
Let me finish the justification. Let me finish the justification, Draco.
You said that like 3 times. The issue is you've been saying.
I know, but I want you. Okay, but this is the thing, Draco. I want you to understand my full argument, and then
I understand the argument. I'm trying to.
Okay, but I want to say it all. Can I just say? Can I just? Okay. Can I just explain all? And then if you still don't think it's sufficient basis, then like I said, I'll let you speak. Just let me finish the last part. It's like what? It'll take 1 more minute.
You've already repeated it 3 times.
It'll take 1 more minute max. It will take 1 more minute max.
It will take 1 more minute max, guys.
So basically,
okay. Well, I think there's a need for me to say my argument.
The issue here is you only presented one scan showing the misplacement of the quote. And that one does get translated.
You interrupted before I presented the rest of them, which is why I wanted to continue my argument.
You were sending them, and I waited. You had not sent them
because you continued making more points. So Draco, if you
it sounds so sad.
You're literally on the point about if the quotation marks matter. And again, you still have not.
Okay, so Draco, no, that's not. You're not tracking, Draco. Draco, you right? You first.
I have tried.
You didn't. Your argument.
What's wrong with these guys?
Your initial argument was okay. These these quotations don't need to be used, right? Then we started talking about that, right? And this was after you asked for the scans. Then you presented that notion, and I started attacking that notion because I didn't want to time argument before I got the other scans. And now, when you said, "Oh, you don't have justification or you don't have basis," I was like, "Okay, let me finish my argument." Right? Or present my argument. I was presenting my argument and you're like, oh, I don't need to hear it. Now you're telling me, oh, I need to hear it.
Yeah,
so what are you getting at? What are you
think quotes need to be used, and that's all you have said. You have not elaborated on why
that is oh my god.
So hold on. The discourse is okay, Sakazuki is saying that quotes that usually whenever the quotes are used, they're being used to refer to something. Whereas if there are no quotes, that actually signifies that he's just talking about a specific state of affairs. So in the admiral context, whenever they say specifically something like whenever they say, oh, admiral's strongest marines, right, he's the strongest marine, and he says that specifically, that's referring to him actually being the strongest marine, him like currently possessing that state. Whereas whenever they add the quotation marks, it's just referring to a title, and he's saying that, and he's basing that off of like some inductive case, off of literary distinction specifically, right? So whenever something there is like this specific thing present, then it's referring to something. Draco has not given a refutation towards the inductive case about quotations. All he's saying is that they don't need to be used, right? And maybe it's not necessary that they be used. Obviously, he's just arguing like a probable case, right? So saying that they don't need to be just doesn't really mean anything. But yeah.
First of all, I provided consistency of it being in reference to the admiral position. Now I'm going to give.
That just attacks your own argument.
Oh no, it's not. Okay, holy shit! You are just.
That just gets into what I've been saying this whole time.
You are missing the whole point of my argument. You are missing it all.
And that it has been used to refer to the position which you, in your interpretation,
you're missing the whole point of my argument, Draco.
What's wrong with this guy's mic?
So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to try to continue.
I already said we can just sidestep all this bullshit because I already said from the start you're literally just pushing a contradiction.
Okay, there we go. So now the second thing is Draco's now trying to say that regardless of this inductive case, if this inductive case is like or if this claim that you're making based off of this inductive case is true, right, then there is a contradiction incurred, right? So if this is true, there's this contradiction. Okay.
Interpretation based on non sequitur of these quotes. So if you want to get into the contradiction, you can do that.
Okay, but what I want to do first, right, is present my full argument, and then you can provide a contradiction to it.
Yeah, I don't need to get into a language class about non sequiturs with quotes. We can just get into the contradiction.
No, okay, no. What we can do is let me finish my argument, and then you can.
Yeah, I'm already literally sidestepping by pointing out your interpretation is just dead line contradicted.
Okay, so you can think that to be the case, but let me just point out why what you're saying makes zero sense. You first say, oh, you have not provided basis for your argument, right? And then now you're saying the same argument with no basis, right, is now getting contradicted.
Yeah, how does that make sense?
Well, obviously that makes sense. Like, hold on, obviously that makes sense. It's like, okay, if there's no evidence for Mercury being on the moon right now, twerking in a song, there's no evidence for that. But if that was true, even if there's no evidence, if that claim somehow, by some way, were to be true, that would contradict the fact that Mercury is currently on Discord listening to Spotify, right, on Earth. So unless there's some way in which he's both on Earth and on the moon at the same time, right, then there'd be a contradiction. So clearly you can say claims without evidence lead to contradictions. So that's a blunder on Sakazuki's part.
8 guys sit here and go for 2 hours repeating the same non sequitur. So we can just continue to the next point, which is
so we can steelman. Okay, fine. We can steelman it. What's this contradiction, Draco?
We can steelman it. Okay, look. This is also something where I've seen like loads of people get confused about, and there's like loads of discourse on it. So whenever Sakazuki is, because it's a term Sakazuki uses, so whenever Sakazuki is using steelman, I'm assuming what he's saying is, okay, we can like temporarily grant that my claim is true, so then we can see if there's a contradiction. Maybe that isn't how it's used in the literature. Maybe that isn't the formal definition of it, but specifically it's like how it's used in the debate community, right? Maybe there's like all of the debate community are confused about the definition, right? And then they use it one specific way, and so he's just using it the same way, at least because like there's no other way for Draco to like provide a contradiction, like, okay, for like, or some contradiction if there's no like proposition being affirmed or denied at the same time, right? Like there's just no way for that to happen.
Stronger than Kizaru. End of story.
Garp is stronger than Kizaru. Where'd you get that from?
Oh, literally has better feats against Marco. Beat the shit out of Kuzan, who is much stronger than Kizaru after the time skip. Literally every feat he has shows he's above Kizaru.
Okay, so there's a multitude of problems with this. So let's start with the Marco stuff. There are. So we'll start with the Marco thing. So when we're looking at Marineford, right, the admirals are not trying to destroy Marineford. Now, if that's the case, no, you're not going to interrupt me. You're not going to.
Why is he already? Oh, I hate people like this.
I want to attack that. Hold on. For one, there is no basis that Kizaru is actually trying to stop from destroying the place. If you think Marco actually kicked him into the base.
Huh? Hold on. You can. That's also confusion. I'm going to give an example or something. So like say Yugi doesn't want to lose debates, but he isn't going to try his hardest every single time that he engages in a debate, right? Even though he doesn't want to. Maybe you can say that his actions are inconsistent with his own preferences, but that isn't a contradiction. Those two desires aren't contradictory. I can have a desire specifically in the sense that like I can't have both at the same time. I can not want to die, but also not want to expend enough effort. So I will just expend enough effort such that I fulfill my goal not to die, or like I still am able to pursue my goal not to die, while also being able to pursue my goal to not expend a lot of effort. Right? In the same sort of sense, Kizaru can pursue the goal of not wanting Marineford to be destroyed, while also being able to pursue the goal of not wanting to expend all of his effort. So those two things can be true at the same time. It's unclear specifically the sort of claim or the sort of argument that he has, but yeah.
I think that's fine. He can get kicked in the base, sure.
So he's trying to stop the base from getting destroyed, but lets people kick him into it?
He doesn't need to let him. Yeah, he doesn't need to let him, right? Okay, going back to the Yugi example, I don't think Yugi lets people beat him in debates, right? But I think, like, okay, he can just, like the extent in which he pursues one desire is just not enough, such that he'll overwhelm somebody who has greater levels of force, like greater levels of strength. But yeah,
he let him.
Okay, so how is he holding back then?
Okay, so I just explain. Okay, so you're defeater to why he wouldn't be trying to destroy the base, why he's trying to not destroy
the base. I'm just asking you to demonstrate that he's actually holding back to prevent destroying the base in the first place, for one, and then for two, pointing out this example to show why that would.
Hold on. For it to be a contradiction, there needs to be some claim that for it to be a contradiction, there needs to be some claim specifically which what's it called, which cannot be true at the same time as the initial claim. So the initial claim of, like, say, um Kizaru or whoever in the world being the strongest marine cannot be true insofar as this other evidence is present. But if he's presenting a way, if Sakazuki is presenting a way in which this other piece of evidence could be true at the same time as the initial one, then there's no longer a contradiction. So Draco's claim about a contradiction being present would fall flat. They said it's entirely his burden to justify why these people are actually trying. And the evidence he gave, like also called the evidence he gave, isn't actually contradictory to them actually trying, right? Because you can all like and them actually quote unquote hold it back or whatever, right? Because specifically he needs to give some reasons specifically as to why it's entirely unlikely, or like these two desires that he has to, one, not let Marineford get destroyed and also hold back, these two desires are contradictory. So there's lots of burdens on him right now. I'll say that there's burden stacking.
Would be at odds with things he's doing within the
model. So I'm gonna explain. Okay, I'm gonna explain why. Okay, so it's important to note right now what we're doing is steel manning the previous argument, saying that if this was true, right, this is a contradiction. So first off, right, if we have the previously established thing that there's a statement telling us that Kizaru is stronger than Garp, then
that is just
what's wrong with this guy? Look, he's trying to give a contradiction on Sakazuki's view. So he's trying to say if Sakazuki's view is true, then there's this alternate piece of interpretation, or there's this alternate pieces of evidence, right, which contradicts this initial claim, right? And then, right, also called so if Sakazuki's claim is true, then this alternate piece of evidence wouldn't be able to exist at the same time. So these two claims would be contradictory towards each other. So that would be like right in a contradiction, right? But then, like, Sakazuki's trying to like say that, okay, if this initial claim is true, then that's also good reason, good evidence to just believe that he's holding back, right? So he's basically trying to fend off like an internal critique on his view. So if he's trying to like fend off an internal critique on his view, I don't understand what's wrong with him like presupposing his view is true during the internal critique, because the entire point is to like say that if your view is true, there's a contradiction. So like I don't get where the circularity aspect is coming in. Like these guys are like chatting. So yeah.
Not circular. That's not okay. Do you know what? Do you know what a steel man is, Draco? What is a steel man? No. You're gonna let me. You've been interrupting me the entirety of this, entirety of this discussion. You've literally been interrupting me the entirety of this discussion, Draco. Right? There's no reason for us to continue if you're not gonna let me continue. You call it circular. I'm gonna explain why it's not circular. You're gonna let me speak. I literally just explained why it's circular. You're using your premise. You can explain why it's circular. I can refute that. Why are you still speaking?
He isn't using the premises to justify itself. The premises is already, or specifically the initial claim is already supposed to be taken to be true. And then if that claim is true, man, like a contradiction can't exist. It's like a P and P. A contradiction can't exist if like one of these claims is not true at the same time. Like I can't say you are sitting down and you aren't sitting down, and it's, or like, I mean, I can say that. Obviously, one of those claims is like is false. It's like, but I'm not even really paying attention. I'm never gonna lie. But specifically, I don't know what like specifically what he's arguing about or what he's talking about. Whenever he says like you're using your claim to justify itself, all it looks like from my perspective, at least from the limited amount of attention I'm paying to the debate, is just like Draco's trying to posit a contradiction which is entailed if Sakazuki's view is true. Sakazuki is saying that, okay, well, like my view doesn't entail this, right? And then he points out a specific fact about his view, and then explains that this isn't an entailment under his view. And Draco is trying to like say that's begging the question somehow. I don't get it.
Oh my God, that's not
You ignored the stuff I said about
You're literally
contradictions.
just sitting here trying to use your premise to justify itself here on the point where it's
do you know? Oh my God, he doesn't know what a steel man is. Okay, do you know what a steel man is, Draco? Go ahead, define it.
Steel man is irrelevant. The steel man is irrelevant. I said I don't
He's
care.
stupid. Okay, yeah, we can. Oh yeah, cool. We can end right there. All right, cool. We can end right there. All right, cool. We're done. Okay, you don't know what a steel. Cool. We're done. Nice.
Okay, you literally just admitted. We literally just went.
You just literally conceded on your fucking. What are you doing? You're so slow. That's insane. You're so dumb.
Yeah, bro.
What? Like, wait. All right, nice discussion, bro. Nice discussion.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. Also,
yeah, you're also
just to tell you guys, Mihawk stems. He stems Roger and everyone else.
Thank you. Swordsman, stronger swordsman.
Why are you such a nigger?
Wow. Okay.
What?
Anyways, I'm just gonna skip forward to see if they keep
Based
talking.
off of what just happened, enough has been displayed. There's no need for us to continue, Draco.
You're using the statement to prove itself.
There's no need for us to continue, Draco.
Yeah, exactly. You're using the statement to prove itself.
You can think that to be the case. I think already what has been demonstrated has proven my point.
Was the minute you got pressed with an example, you tried to use the statement.
You did not press an example. Okay. So you don't know what a steel man is, and that's why I decided to end this discussion. You don't know what a steel man is. It's okay. You don't know what a steel man is. You do not know what a steel man is. You unfortunately missed the point of what a steel man is. You missed the point of what a steel man is. You don't know what a steel man is.
Does he know what a steel man is?
You don't know what a steel man is. You don't know what a steel man is. You don't know what a steel man is. You don't know what a steel man is.
Really?
You don't. You don't.
You clearly don't.
You don't know what you don't know what a steel man is.
Draco, what's he trying to say?
Okay, Gio, this is simply no.
Move past his argument because I would just contradict it. I would just contradict his interpretation, and he was literally fine with that. We move on to my example, and then he tries to use it, and then he tries to use the statement that is in question to justify itself.
Okay, so that's not what happened. Okay, so Gio, right? So no, it's not. I'll explain it real quick. It's very simple. So, and then once we're doing this, I'm done with discussion. There's no need for me. So. We were arguing upon this scam, right? And what the Psycho Senroku thing pertains to, right? And my argument was simply, okay, the Psycho Senroku thing, when quotations are omitted, are in reference to individual strength. He says verbatim, I want to steelman this. I'm going to provide a contradiction within the story. Now,
that is a
no, you're not, Draco. You're not going to interrupt me. You just gave your side. You just gave your side, and then you're just not going to fucking let me speak.
I'm literally just interjecting. That's a mischaracterization. Continue.
Let Sakazuki finish, then you can.
That's what I'm saying. He just isn't cordial at all. That's why I don't want to continue this. Right. So, like I said, he's trying to sit here and say, okay, I'll steelman this. A steelman is you presupposing your opponent's argument to be true, and then continuing with the argument and trying to refute that stronger version of your opponent's argument. So he is steelmanning. Yes, it is. It literally is. But
no, it literally just means.
Drake, you should go search it up. You should go search it up. Go ahead and search it up. Do a Google search. Do a Google search.
Why is he
accepting an argument?
Do a Google search. Do a Google search.
Accepting an argument to later attack it? What? I mean, if he's accepting the argument, and then Sakazuki's trying to use the accepted argument to justify like later facts about his view or later claims on his view, and then he's like saying he's begging the question for using a claim he agrees with to support another claim, and he's saying the claim is in question. So he's like agreeing to it and putting it in question at the same time. Yeah, bro. Look, in my opinion, messy debate. At best, Sakazuki won. At worst, it's Incon because there was loads of blunders and like loads of over talking. But yeah, that's it from me. Like the video, like, subscribe. This was Shinra, and I'm out, bro.